Hi, I'm Alexandra, a psychic spiritual counselor, and welcome to Alexandra's Psychic Eye. A little tip for the day. You are the creator of your reality. So create. Be the master of your own personal universe. Each day, ask for what you want. Allow your true gifts of spirit to create the reality you truly desire. Ask and you shall receive. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Alexandra's Psychic Eye. Muenz Chen is a trans-channel, hands-on healer, a somatic experiencing practitioner, and interfaith minister. Diana has been involved in the channeling field since 1983. Authored a book entitled Channeling the Heart and the Art, a comprehensive guidebook for developing your relationship with the spirit realm. And we are very happy to have Diana here on the show with us today. Welcome back. And the last show, you were in a deep, deep trance channeling for Michael. So we're going to go straight into the channeling on this segment.
Great.
Okie dokie?
Yep. So I am going to take off my glasses, and like I said last time, it helps to open up my energy so that I can connect with Michael. So it says Michael the Archangel, and what I'm going to do now is again explain how I'm connecting to Michael. So in my voice, I say, Michael, please come. I feel already my energy field is expanded, okay, and that's something that I always have to kind of check out. You know, how open am I to receive? And in my mind, I ask Michael the Archangel to come. And here's a very sensitive time when you channel, because it's like opening to Grand Central Station. So I have to be very clearly just attuned to Michael. So I'm set kind of, well, they call a line of communication. It's a line of communication that I set up with Michael. And now he's going to start to connect with me.
What Diane is doing is she's connecting with Archangel Michael, and she's attempting to do it, channeling.
And I'm feeling Michael more in my belly now, and feeling more of his energy. And if we can just be quiet for just a second, I think he's going to talk. I am present with you now. I am Michael the Archangel, and I bless all of you, whether you are present in the studio or watching. Understand now is a very important time on the earth. Much exploration, much opening, much development, so much to take part in and to be aware of. Understand that if you have not found your spiritual path yet, consider finding it now. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes in the morning as soon as you arise and just breathing and saying, I want to be in touch with my inner self. I want to be in touch with why I've come here. And ask yourself those two simple questions and take a moment to just feel into them. What is it for you? What's happening in the moment? And explore it. It's so important at this time on the earth now to fulfill yourself as best you can. That's why you're here. You are here at this particular time because you have been called here by your soul to be here. I want you to know that I am around. If any of you need my help, I am present and aware of you and willing to help you. God bless you all. I am Michael the Archangel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael. That was beautiful, beautiful, so touching.
Now Michael is slowly moving out of me. I'm very expanded still. I'm able to start to talk now because he pulled his energy away from me more. We're not as merged. And now I'm starting to relax. I'm not as big as I was. Michael is very big. So anyway, so now I'm kind of settling in. Okay. So that was Michael.
Goodness. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, for all of you that are just tuning in, this is Alexandra's Psychic Eye, and we have our very special guest, Diana, who has just channeled Archangel Michael and spoken about the condition of the earth and to embrace the opportunity to open up to your spirituality. He said your spiritual path, which basically means to open up to your spirituality. So it will come, he said, when the time is right for you. And when you're ready, you know, all the right people and all the right places and all the right things will be there for you. It was quite an amazing thing. He comes through very strong. How did you feel when he was coming through? What do you experience?
Well, I'm in the background just kind of watching, trying to stay out of the way. So I'm in a semi-conscious trance state, and he is booming. I mean, his energy is so strong, he just takes over. Once I kind of surrender and go past that threshold I talked about last time and let go, then he just comes in and it's just a flow, you know, just a compelling flow.
The way I experienced him was very powerful, very sure, very strong. And it's kind of like when I get readings, it's that same feeling of, you know, it's not coming from me. It's just, this is what it is. I'm telling them something. And I have no idea what I'm saying. It was such a strong presence in the studio. I was like, whoa, my God. And it felt like a male energy.
He's very strong and assertive.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, maybe you'd like to describe for the viewers some of the different entities that you have channeled over time and how you know at that moment which one may be communicating through you, Diana.
So I have a few. I don't have a lot. They're like best friends. So, you know, I talk to my students.
Do they go shopping together?
Yeah. You know, I tell people that, you know, it's most important to know the energy imprint of your guide. So instead of just their name, you know, people get stuck on, well, what's the name of my guide? But it's really, what do they feel like? What do they look like? What do they sound like to you? So Holly was the first guide that I channeled.
Holly?
Holly. She is a little joy guide, and she comes and goes quickly. She is just so full of happiness and fills people with happiness when she comes in. And she leads, I teach an introduction to channeling workshop, and she leads the speaking part of it and just teases the devil out of the guides that come in to channel through people.
So she's a flirt, huh?
She just wants guides to talk through people, so she'll kind of draw it out, you know, and then people will be channeling verbally and they didn't even realize they were doing it. So she's a lot of fun. And then I have John, who I've been working with for a few years now. He's a healer. And with John, I see this bright white light, and then I feel this white energy come into me, and then it starts flowing, and then I know it's John. That's our signal. With Michael, I described that before. You know, I call Michael in, I see these huge columns of light, I feel his wings on my back, and then I feel him in my heart, and then there's a whole bunch more energy that comes in. So that's Michael.
That is so amazing. Now, have you had any bad experiences with channeling?
I have, you know, and it was really to teach me not to be a Pollyanna about it. You know, a few minutes ago when I said, you know, I've got to really stay with Michael the Archangel, and it is like Grand Central Station. I could be connecting to all kinds of beings because there's all kinds of beings all over all the time. So it's like I have to be very guided and direct, you know. So yeah, there's been experiences, but it's so that I got stronger and I realized that I had to be focused when I channeled. I couldn't treat it as just kind of spacing out and whatever connects to me, you know? So it helped me to also begin to teach my students how to do that, how to stay focused and to, you know, not be, to just take responsibility is the best way to say it.
Not be a mamsy-pamsy.
Yeah.
And not be judgmental over what's going on. And not let your ego get in the way. Just
All
sort of
good
go with the
stuff.
flow, and it'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm sure that you're asked constantly, well, what happens if you can't get back into your body, or perhaps become possessed by the entity coming through? What do you tell them?
Well, you know, students do worry about that, and when they start to use the steps that I teach to channel, it sets things up just so much more safe
The structure.
for them. It's structured. I help them. I read them as they're learning. I help them to understand what they're doing, like if they've moved out of their higher self, they're trying to channel their higher self and they moved out, I'll help them to get back, and it really builds their confidence.
Yes.
You know, that I can help them in that way. I mean, I don't do it perfectly, but I do my best to help them to get a feel for,
you know?
yeah.
You know, like a tree grows a little bit this way, that way. Nothing's perfect except for God. I find in my spiritual healing practice, you know, there are students, they want to take off and fly and do their thing, and it's wonderful. However, I always warn them, you really have to be ready. And what is ready? Well, I hate to say this, ready is when your teacher tells you.
Spirit teacher or human being, it could be both.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
if the information comes through me, it's, you know, for me to say to them, well, this is the reading that I'm getting. It is. And then also there's a structure. And when I was, you know, when my gifts were brought out, and it was done over many, many, many hard, toilous, should I say, tumultuous years, there was always a structure. And I never really understood why my teacher gave me this structure. And when I would go away from the structure, I would realize that there would be mayhem and madness. So there's always a reason for it.
Yeah.
Because the ego gets in, and you know, you have to double, triple check. Why am I not telling this person that I see, you know, cancer? You know, that kind of a thing. Now, have you ever felt like when you first started doing the channeling, Diana, that you couldn't get back into your body?
No, because I don't really leave my body. In the semi-conscious state, I'm present. So what I do is expand my energy field, stay inside, and merge with the being inside of me, so I never leave. Now, with some of my, you know, teachers, they definitely left their body. Clifford Bias, Alex Murray, they are an unconscious channel, or what some people call full trance channel, but I don't teach that or do that. So.
Well, the strange thing that happens to me without my even wanting to is certain students of mine, which sometimes I do the lessons on the phone, sometimes I do it on Skype because they're far, far away, and then, you know, of course, in my office in Staten Island. And I found all of a sudden I was going into this trance. I didn't even know I was in a trance. And then the first time I knew it was when my student / producer of, you know, my shows, Alexandra Psychic Eye, her mother had just passed away. And her mother was coming through, and I said something to her. I was like what seemed to be asleep, and her mother came through to say something that happened to her when she was a little girl. And when I came out of it, she said, I don't know where you went, but you never went there before. And how did you know about that thing that happened to me when I was a little girl? And I had no memory of this. And it just somehow, it was time to do that. And it's a very strange thing. Now, what do you do to prepare for a channeling session? I mean, you know, is it okay to have a meal before, or do you need like 5 hours of sleep? What is the preparation for doing channeling?
Well, first thing about the sleep, I have to be well rested because trance is so close to sleep. That I could fall asleep easily,
I know
so I
that.
have to be careful. But, in terms of eating, my diet is pretty clean, organic and fresh and raw. I've noticed that when I kind of veer off, I get into trouble. So when I'm doing, teaching a workshop or when I'm doing a lot of intense work, I have to really watch what I'm eating and be careful. In terms of my energy field, I always clear it before I channel.
How do you clear it?
Yeah. So what I do is I close my eyes and I kind of take an inventory of what's happening in my energy field. I know kind of areas that I tend to pick up, kind of like heavier energy or whatever. And also, so I clear that just with my mind, my intention. And then also, any connections to people that are kind of tugging at my solar plexus, I let go of that. And then also my teacher, Babaji Mahavatar, I'll take a picture of him. He's really good at clearing my energy system. And I'll just, hold the picture and he'll just keep drawing out stuff until I'm just kind of empty. And then I'll be clearer. I feel freer, I feel more relaxed and calm, and then I know I'm ready. I may say some prayers or get more grounded. It depends on what my energy system needs at the time.
Is there any particular time of day that's better, like in the morning, afternoon, the evening, or just whenever?
Whenever I feel, as long as I have the energy. It takes a lot of energy to channel.
Yes, yes. Now, in one of the chapters of your amazing book, you offer some wonderful insights, Diana, from the spirit guide's point of view. What is their particular experience when they are communicating through you, and why do they do it? Why are they doing this?
So I'm going to try to answer your question. There's so many parts to this question, Alexandra, So I'll start.
Sorry to give you one of those tricky.
It's a great question. It's just there's a lot of parts to it. So the guides do it. Now, spirit guide is a job description. All right, not every spirit is a spirit guide. So they have taken on the job to be with us. Some of them, connect with us before we're born. Some during our lifetime. There can be temporary guides, help with us finances and then leave. But my guide Holly, she described how they energetically connect to us, which was very interesting to me. So they see us, and it's not like how like we have with our physical eyes, and they sense us and they start to contract in energy, and then they come through into our energy field, following sort of the soul, the higher self, and then into our energy field, our aura. They come through whatever chakras are most open. They develop a line of communication, which is like a passageway through which information flows between us and them. And then they bring what they call spheres of knowledge, and those are not in any language, they are in universal symbols, and they get translated by our mind, and they help us to translate them. And I found that fascinating. And then they were talking about the different relationships we can have with them. Like some of them have been karmically together with us in past lives and want to continue because they love us so much.
Now, karmically as in spiritually?
Yeah. Like they've had previous or other lifetimes with us, and they want to continue that because they want to be with us, like a good friend.
Yeah.
Now, there's one
That's
relation.
exactly what they are, good friend.
They are, yeah. And then, there's one type of relationship that I personally like the best, and it's called cyclical. And that's where we can cycle around. So let's say, for instance, I die, and I meet up with Holly, and Holly wants to be born into a body to learn some lessons, and I know how to be a spirit guide because, you have to learn how to be a spirit guide in the spirit realm. It just doesn't happen. And I know how to do that, and Holly's fine with me being her spirit guide, so we switch roles. So I found that kind of fascinating. They told me about that in that chapter.
That is. when I was a young girl, there was a little bit of tumultuousness in my family. So my mother had felt that, it would be a good idea for me to talk to somebody, for a little bit, which actually catapulted me into psychology. And then the rest is history. But I remember years later, after I was healed of multiple sclerosis, my teacher told me that my therapist, Mrs. Spin, who I adored, he said, she's a spirit guide in flesh. And I said, I could believe that because she's so angelic. Her name is Lillian.
That's a beautiful
She's not,
name.
in physical anymore. But when she came to me for the first time after her passing was a few weeks ago. And I was sitting with one of my students working on, modules that I'm working on. And all of a sudden she came in. I recognized her face. And the love was so overwhelming from her that I just felt like melting into a pool of, love liquid. It was like, oh my God. And, she was here in flesh guiding me. And then, she was
Continued, yeah.
She continued.
It can go through.
What is the difference, Diana, between a medium and a channeler?
Well, this is my definition. Now, people may disagree with me, but both terms really, I think, point to people channeling some way, somehow. I think when people use channel, they mean someone who channels like a spirit guide or a higher self and soul or something like that. When people use the word mediumship, to me that's a more specialized area, specialized field.
Yes.
And that's when people channel, dead relatives along with the other things. And that's, I think, very specialized. And for me, I think that that's harder to do, because it takes a lot of focus and a lot of even more surrender, because you have to really surrender to what the relatives are telling you, specifics, they're telling you, like your story you just said a few minutes ago,
yes.
that whole childhood story. But anyway, so channel, not dead relatives, and that's what I do. A mediumship, more along those lines.
Well, you certainly have blown us away. Around me, do you see any archangels or any?
There's a lot going on around you.
Everybody always says that.
Yeah, there's
Would you like to share that with my viewers?
There's some beings that have been with you since childhood, and I'm starting to connect with them, and there's a lot of heart energy. So I hope I can kind of keep my composure, because if I start to cry, it's like hard to maintain the trance state,
I know all about crying.
Yeah.
And, I've cried for people who are, you just throw out a few, for the viewers.
But that's the thing with mediumship, you're kind of going between some person that died and then the person that's living. There's so much emotion a lot of times that traverses through a channel,
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect.
That.
But anyway, so, I see a lot of energy coming down from the top into you, and I think that's more creator energy. That's how I would say it is. It's not so much a guide, but it's more your contact with all that exists, or creative energy, or whatever you want to coin it.
The all in all, the universe.
That's just very strong there.
Yes.
And then there's a lot of other energies around you, but that is like the thing that strikes me the most about you, Alexandra, and it's very strong. And then your joy, I told you that before. A lot of joy inside of you, and it's just beautiful to be around. Yeah.
That's wonderful. A few pictures, that I took of me on my show, but I took them on my phone camera, and they were from my phone, camera to my DVD at home. And then when we developed the pictures, when we downloaded them, there was like a long thread here. I said, "Oh my God!" I had that thread going up, and then there was white spots all over the picture, And my mother kind of just put it on my refrigerator and said, looks good there. I said, okay. And as I'm looking at it, I'm seeing, this curtain in the background, and I see this golden thread going up there and spots all over. And my mother said, oh, the picture's damaged. It's got spots all over it. And I said, no.
Those
Do you
are
want
orbs,
to explain
yeah.
that? You want to tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Sometimes those types of extraordinary things can be captured on the on the film, and a lot of people call them orbs, or they really signify spirit beings around and good beings, positive beings. And that's something I had to learn too. My teacher, Alex Murray, taught me that when I used to see flashes of light, sometimes I'll see it again, and it's for spirit. Michael will flash like this beautiful indigo blue, all of a sudden, and then I'll know he's around, so it's delightful.
Indigo blue.
And those sometimes can create orbs, but also you have a strong energy field, and that can create more of what you can see in the film.
Thank you so much. We have so enjoyed your fascinating gifts and talents, and keep sharing them. And
thank you.
We hope you come back, and we're so happy that you joined Alexandra's Psychic Eye.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of our viewers for watching us each week. And if you miss any of the shows, you can view us on YouTube anytime. Please continue to watch us here each week as we bring you fascinating new shows every Friday night on Staten Island and Brooklyn Cable, and Thursday afternoon in Manhattan. Visit psychiceye.tv or call me, Alexandra, 917-763-0133 for information on psychic readings, meditations for relaxation, healings, and classes to bring out your psychic spiritual gifts. In the meantime, remember, you are all in a state of grace, so continue to work on you. Thanks for watching. This is Alexandra, Alexandra's Psychic Eye.
I love that. Thank you.